What is up, everybody? This is Famous. Welcome to another episode of Pokemon Go. With Ultra Sun and Moon coming out at the end of the year, I thought about some idea that could actually be really cool to add into Pokemon Go. Although it wouldn't be related to Generation 7, it actually applies to Generation 1, and that is something called the Alola Forms. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. In this episode, we are going to have a three-part series where I cover 18 total Alola Forms, and then in the third episode, all I'm going to do is summarize all of them just to show all of them kind of in one spot. If you are not sure what an Alola Form is, I'm going to go ahead and explain it to you. In the Alola region, a species regional variant is referred to as its Alola form. A Pokemon in its Alola form is described as an Alolan. Only Pokemon introduced in Generation 1 have Alolan forms. This is why this is so important and why this could totally be added into Pokemon Go. Although this was addressed in the new Sun and Moon games, this applies to Generation 1 Pokemon that are in Pokemon Go. So how cool would it be if they ended up adding in these 18? So what we're going to be doing is knocking out 9 of them, going and talking about some of the variants, the differences between them, and I think it will be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and pull up the first two. Rattata and Raticate. You are seeing it, they are picking up a new type that is going to be dark. So Rattata and Raticate have adapted to life in Alola by becoming nocturnal animals. This allows for the Alolan Rattata and Raticate to gain the dark typing, making them the first normal and dark type Pokemon. When we're talking about comparing them, the stats actually change in some of the cases as well. So we'll go ahead and focus on Raticate. So Kanto Raticate is faster and stronger in terms of attack, while the Alolan Raticate is bulkier to match its girth, having a better HP, defense, and then special defense stat. Let's go ahead and move on to the next pair. This is something that is extremely cool to see, and that's going to be Vulpix and then also Ninetales. Ninetales goes through a major change in the Alola region, going from a pure fire-type Pokemon to an ice with a fairy type is going to the complete other side of the spectrum. Both Ninetales stats are very similar, but the Alola Ninetales sacrifices some of its attack stat to increase its speed stat, making it the ultimate special attacker. Just imagine going against a Ninetale completely different than this, and then actually having both of the variants available. This would kind of function maybe as like a shiny Pokemon. Instead of having a shiny, you would catch an Alolan form, and then it would evolve into the Alolan Ninetales as opposed to the Kanto Ninetales. Now let's go ahead and pull up a very exciting family, something that I would love to see in the game, and that's going to be the Golem family. Notice that all of them have a dual typing now, where they replaced ground with electric. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about these Pokemon. So this is the only 3-stage evolution Pokemon that does have an Alolan form. The Golem line gets a snazzy Alola form. As you can see, they've got some extra facial hair, which is believed to be magnets, with the electricity attracting it as well. That's kind of like where that is going. So it does drop its ground typing, like I mentioned, picks up the electric type, making it the first rock electric type Pokemon. Unfortunately, though, when we're talking about Golem, the base stats for both of the Golems pretty much remain the same, despite there being plenty of electric type special attacks. Alola Golem could have used the boost in this stat. So basically, you are going to be changing the typing. You could theoretically have in a couple of new moves from it, but it's not going to have any different stats from the original Kanto Golem. So let's go ahead and move on to the list. We have 2 more Pokemon to cover. The first one is going to be Executor, the Alolan Executor, which is a dual type of grass and then also dragon. So it does pick up the dragon and then drops the psychic. The Alolan Executor got the internet buzzing when it was first introduced as the goofy Pokemon that looked weird and gained the dragon typing, which many felt was an odd choice. Gaining the dragon typing exposes the Alolan Executor to a new weakness, which is going to be the Ice type, where it will now be a super effective moveset. But how does the Alola Executor stack against the Kanto Executor? Well, their base stats are very similar, except the Alola Executor gets a bump in attack, but loses some speed. The speed drop doesn't hurt Executor because the quickness was never one of its strengths in the first place. Basically, it was already slow and now it's just a little less slow. Now let's go ahead and move on to the last one of this video. This is something that I am very excited about. When you talk about a cool Pokemon, this is the definition of that. So let's go ahead and introduce our final Pokemon of the video, and that is going to be Marowak, a dual type Pokemon of fire and then also ghost type, which changes from a pure ground type to the fire and ghost type Pokemon. While both versions maintain their weakness to water, they both have varying resistance and weaknesses that you will have to tackle. Both versions keep the exact same base stats, which is a little bit disappointing. This is one of the two Pokemon that doesn't have a pre-evolution with an Alolan form. Another example would be Executor, so Execute doesn't have the Alolan form. So how would they tackle this? What I think would be really cool was that no matter what, you couldn't get the Alolan form from catching the Cubone or an Execute, but instead you could catch an Alolan Marowak or an Executor either in raids or in the wild. I think that that would add kind of a really fun factor to it. I really like it when Pokemon Go adds in these kind of random fun things that you can do. But anyways, I hope you did enjoy this episode. I hope that you found it a lot of fun. If you haven't heard of the Alolan Forms before, hopefully this does get you excited. I would absolutely love to see this in the future of Pokemon Go. But this was part 1. What we're going to do in a couple days is come out with the part 2 to finish up the final 9, which is going to be a lot of fun. I try to break up both lists to make them a really good time. And then we'll come out with a 3rd episode just kind of sweeping all of them all together so that you can see them all. But I hope you did enjoy the episode. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.